Prior to watching the movie, I actually made a video that I was too fucking lazy to upload. I made a video right before the movie dropped, which was yesterday. And I said I have very low expectations for the movie. I am expecting all three predators to die. And I also said that Disney doesn't have the balls to kill out their protagonists. I literally said that. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happens. See, I have very low trust in Disney to actually make any of those kinds of choices. Now, as far as a flick goes, like if you want to just watch it to, pass the time and all that, you don't really care. I would say it's a good movie. But if you are if you're a Predator fan like me who wants to see Predator, actually have a good hunt and all that and actually be good, then you won't really like it. So here's my thing. I would say the moment I saw that female Viking, I knew she wasn't going to die. And I also knew that she was going to kill the Predator. But here's the thing. See, if you we all remember how that Predator in Prey died. He killed himself with his own equipment, and that shit was fucking stupid. That's literally all these short stories, bro. Predator is killing himself with his own shit in all of them. Like the Viking chick, like they just made Predator so dumb. Like it's just ridiculous. Like, and then the fanboys can't make an excuse this time. And the thing with this is that so in in Prey, apparently he didn't know how his equipment worked, yet the girl did, and he ends up shooting himself in the head. And then you get this movie, Killer Killers, and in the Viking story, she drops an anchor on him. She's strong enough to, get lifted up and drop the anchor on him. And somehow the chain of the anchor somehow wrapped around his little power glove thing. And my like that weapon made no sense, bro. Like so you have a weapon on your arm that doesn't allow you to withstand the impact that you dish out. Instead, you go right along with the impact. And that's kind of weird to me. But anyways, I don't really a weapon like that just doesn't really make sense to me, especially when it comes to predators. But whatever. So yeah, she drops the anchor on him, and the chain of the anchor just somehow wraps around his power glove thing. And instead of trying to unwrap the shit, he tries to use it again. And I'm like, oh my god, this is the exact same shit we saw with Prey. He's trying to use it again. And I'm like, so he does that and he ends up going under in the on top of the thin ice and all that. He went through and he fell in the water. And, the anchors bring him down while, she's trying to swim away, but he sees her in the cold water. Minutes before that, when he was walking on top of the ice, he didn't see her because the water was cold. So therefore, she was cold. And then when they're both underwater, she's trying to swim away. He grabs her, and I'm like, isn't he supposed to not be able to see her? Anyways, yeah, he grabs her, and then like in that moment, it was the same shit that we saw in Prey. she outsmarted Predator. Like the intelligence for Predator is just ridiculous at this point. Like if you're going to be this dumb, there's no point in hunting anything. Anyways, she's sitting up here all up underwater, wrapping Predator up in chains and all that. Surprised she didn't drown throughout that whole process. She's wrapping Predator up in all these chains and all that shit. And then she eventually she wraps him up to a point where she traps him. And you know, she got her shield and she set Predator up to use his power glove thing again. And I honestly don't really get the point of him using it at that moment. But anyways, he uses his power glove thing again while she has her shield, and he sends her upwards to safety, and he gets impacted into the anchor, and it goes through his head, and he dies. And I'm just saying, like, bro, that was so fucking lame. Like, with Disney taking over the Predator franchise, I just feel like the main protagonists of these stories are never in any real danger. Like, how can you be in danger when the antagonist comes at you and he's dumb as fuck and he forgets how his own equipment works? Not like again, like this is why I don't like Disney stories, bro. Like they're scared to take the risk. They're scared to take the risk of getting their protagonist killed off. And then uh the next story, I actually like this one. I would have liked it more if it was its own story and we take Predator out because that was actually good. But anyways, so you get to the samurai one, and I was honestly more captivated with how good the story itself was without Predator being involved. It was great. But aside from that, you get a little bit of action of what Assassin's Creed Shadows should have been. Anyways, so it's just mostly him just killing all these guardsmen and all that while Predator is stalking him. Then eventually he gets to his brother and they fight and all that shit. See, what I thought would happen is that him and his brother's gonna fight. He beats his brother, and then Predator comes. He takes his shit off and does all that other shit, and they have a final showdown kind of thing. But instead, he beats his brother, and I just question like, what was your actual motivation of going to confront him in the first place? I didn't really get that. Anyways, he he beats his brother, and his brother ends up falling off the rail thing, and he falls into the water, all that bullshit. And then Predator comes out trying to kill him, and you know, it just one of the things I hate about these movies is how they figure Predator out so fucking quickly. Like you have him going back in time with his advanced weaponry, and these people are immediately figuring him out from one encounter. These are people who don't even know that. These are people who would freak out if they saw a flashlight. Yet they're figuring him out in one encounter, and that's really bugging the fuck out of me. Now, another thing to think of is that, again, that all three of these predators in these stories die by their own shit. All of them. And this predator in particular, like he's getting outclassed by ninjas that's running away, and then eventually it comes to the final scene where they are outside of the fortress, and he runs into his brother again, and Predator shows up again, and he stabs his brother with his claws, and he's able to shake it off until after the fight. And I'm just saying, like, bro, you got impaled by these claws. How the fuck are you still alive? How can you fight him? Anyways, so yeah, they're fighting Predator and all that. And again, it's just another moment of Predator being dumb. Like, bro, it's a 2-on-1. Why are you not watching your back? And then, like, he has at this point, he should be well aware of what his enemies are capable of. Bro, you have him by his neck. Why are you taking your eyes off him just to shoot at his brother when you know that he has fucking knives in every corner of his pocket? He has daggers and shit. And I'm just sitting here looking at this like, bro, like like they just get dumb and dumber. Like, Jesus Christ, bro. And he gets out of, Predator try and choke him, but like at the same time, Predator try to throw those bombs at his brother, and he stabs his arm to throw them off and all that shit. And then there's that one bomb that's just sitting there. And again, these people figure these things out in very few. In one encounter, they figure it out. They figure out technology in one encounter, and it is so fucking stupid to me. Now, jeez. Anyways, um, that predator dies because he tried to use this claw weapon to get the assassin brother to him, but instead he gets out and he attaches the bomb to his claw, and he brings the bomb to him and it blows up. And like one thing I noticed is that these these predators all have weapons that disadvantages them in their last scene. Like, and honestly, when I was looking at like, what is the actual point of them having these weapons? First, you had the predator with the concussive power glove, and then you have this predator with a claw that he's not really. I could see if he was actually utilizing that claw to like weld sling or some shit through that fortress. But like he wasn't really using it like that. It just felt like something that was going to fuck him over later on in the story, which it did. And then, he's just sitting in camouflage. He's literally just a sitting duck in camouflage. And both of the brothers, they're lined up on the opposite side across of him, and they both come and they kebab him. And then the brother who was stabbed finally dies way after the fact, to the point where you just sit here like, what was the point of him dying at this point? Anyways, they kebab the predator and he gets turned into a three-piece meal. That's pretty much what happens. Then his brother dies, and we go to the next story. And may I say, this next story is absolutely fucking retarded. Now, it's it's about the World War II thing, and the character of this story, he is a rookie for the most part. He doesn't really know how to pilot and all this shit. But in this, he's piloting like a seasoned vet. I mean, maybe he did pilot, but he wasn't up there. But this is a Disney story, so obviously they throw that shit out the window. Anyways, he pilots the airplane, and again, like he's figuring all this out on the fly in the moment of where you only have seconds to think. And I'm just sitting like, oh my god, bro. Anyways, he's figuring this predator out, and like I didn't really get this predator because like he's flying around blowing shit up, and I'm sitting there like, isn't their whole point is to be discreet and not, be out there? Anyways, he it's just I really didn't like the stories. It was just a lot of shit going on. He literally gets out his fucking jet to take off the turbine thing, and I'm just saying like, I want to say that's unrealistic, but the fanboys are probably going to say, "Bro, it's an anime cartoon. Why are you saying are this realistic? Like whatever." Anyways, like this story was just retarded. Anyways, So like he's figuring shit out on the fly, and he's fucking with Predator, and eventually comes to a point where he's flying through this town, literally at ground level, and I'm just sitting here like, bro, you cannot make this up. And Predator's getting targeted by all the enemy troops, and he gets it to a fleet battle, and the fleet damages the ship to a point where it crashes into the ocean, and he thinks he's home free, and then Predator comes back up, and and I don't get these weapons they have, bro. Like, you're in a aircraft. Why don't you just have blasters and all that? The reason he doesn't just have blasters is because it wouldn't disadvantage him enough. He needs something that can fuck him over. So they shoot that nonsensical weapon, and it ends up lashing onto the engine, and it gives off the killing blow to blow at that Predator's aircraft. And then tourist the pilot gets taken away back to the Predator home world, whatever, wherever they were. And you know obviously they had the free for all things set up, but the samurai guy didn't want to fight, and Taurus trying to figure shit out. When Taurus got ate up by that monster, I did not believe that he was dead. I didn't believe it. What I was thinking was that Disney did not have the balls to get him killed. Anyways, lo and behold, the camera goes inside the monster's mouth, and he's literally in there navigating, trying to get that predator's arm out so he can use the. And that's another problem I have. Like, how's this fool Torres, like, he's literally figuring out all their technology just like that, and that's just ridiculous to me. Like, let me just go ahead and finish this shit. So, long story short, you know, they they get free, they get to the ship. Eventually they stop trying to kill each other, and they try to chill, and they latch onto the ship and all that. And the Viking chick try to set up a heroic sacrifice, and they get away, and then they bring her back to the shit where she's cryogenically frozen, and then we find a Naoe Easter egg. And I'm just saying here like so yeah, that's the movie. I'm going to make a separate video about how Disney destroyed Predator, but aside from that, like, I didn't really like this movie. Like, the stories, they were all way too similar with how the Predator was handled. Like, I truly did not feel that the protagonists were actually in danger. You can't be in danger when your villain is dumb as rocks and he doesn't even know how to use his own equipment. Like, at that point, I feel like I'm being trolled by the higher ups at that point. And another thing is that, like, as long as you can fight, I guess it doesn't really matter who you're up against in these movies. Now, if I was to give this a rating, I would give it a 4. But if you want to see a quick flick and all that, and you don't care, I would say the movie is a 7 or a 8. But regardless, like, the writing sucked. Obviously, I wasn't a fan of this. It definitely could have been better, but they're not really trying to give Predator any depth at this point, and it's safe to say that Disney ruined Predator.